It didn't start with a loud explosion of sound. It didn't begin with flashing lights or a dramatic entrance. It began with something far more dangerous, something quieter. A moment so simple that no one in the stadium expected it to become one of the most talked about scenes of the night. Because when Jungkook slowly walked toward the edge of the stage and sat down, yes, just sat down, everything changed. And no one was ready for what would happen next. At first, it looked ordinary. The kind of pause artists take between songs. A breath. A reset. A small break in the storm of music and choreography. The crowd was still loud, still glowing, still alive with energy, but there was a slight shift. A softening. But then he moved closer. Closer than expected. Closer than usual. Closer than safe. And suddenly, the distance between idol and fan, the invisible line that always exists, began to disappear. The front row noticed first. You could see it in their faces. Confusion. Shock. Disbelief. Phones that were steady just seconds ago began to shake. Hands that held light sticks started trembling. Eyes widened as if trying to confirm that what they were seeing was real. Was he really that close? Was this actually happening? Jungkook didn't rush. He didn't exaggerate. He didn't perform the moment. He lived in it. He sat on the very edge of the stage, legs relaxed, posture calm, gaze soft as he looked directly at the fans in front of him. Not over them, not past them, at them. And that was the exact second everything broke. The screams didn't rise gradually. They exploded. It was immediate, raw, unfiltered. Thousands of voices collided into one overwhelming wave of sound that filled every inch of the stadium. But unlike earlier in the night, this wasn't just excitement. This was panic, emotional panic, because proximity changes everything. It turns admiration into reality. It turns distance into connection. It turns a dream into something dangerously close to touch. Fans reached forward instinctively, not aggressively, not recklessly, but desperately, as if the moment might disappear if they didn't hold onto it fast enough. Some covered their mouths, unable to scream. Others screamed so loudly their voices cracked instantly. Some cried without even realizing it. And then, it got worse. Jungkook smiled. Not the wide, stage-perfect smile, but something smaller, something softer, something personal. And that tiny shift triggered a reaction no one could control. The front row lost composure completely. People leaned forward, hands shaking, tears falling, try to process the fact that he was right there, not on a giant screen, not far away under blinding lights, but within reach, within sight, within reality. Security stood nearby, alert but calm, watching closely as the energy surged forward. Because even they could feel it, this wasn't just excitement. This was something deeper, something emotional, something that couldn't be managed by simple boundaries. Jungkook adjusted slightly, resting his hands beside him, glancing from one fan to another. And every time his gaze landed on someone, the reaction multiplied. Because eye contact changes everything. One fan froze completely, unable to move. Another burst into tears instantly. A group of friends clutched each other, screaming in disbelief. And then there was the moment that sent social media into chaos. He leaned forward, just slightly, but enough. Enough to break the final barrier. Enough to make the entire front section feel like the center of the universe. Phone shot upward. Hands reached further. The energy surged again, louder, more intense, more emotional than anything that had come before. Because now it wasn't just about seeing him. It was about being seen. The rest of the stadium watched in disbelief. Those further away screamed just as loudly, reacting not only to Jungkook, but to the reaction of the fans closest to him. Because something contagious had taken over. And in that moment, it spread like wildfire. The purple lights shimmered across the crowd, thousands of glowing orbs shaking in unison as the entire stadium became one living, breathing wave of energy. Jungkook laughed softly, and that was it. That small, genuine reaction shattered whatever composure remained. The screams reached a new level. Fans jumped, cried, shouted his name over and over, as if trying to anchor themselves to reality. Because moments like this don't feel real. They feel like something imagined, something replayed in dreams, something that shouldn't happen, but somehow does. Time slowed, not literally, but emotionally. Seconds stretched longer. Heartbeats felt heavier. Every movement carried weight. Jungkook stayed there, sitting present, grounded, as if he understood exactly what he was doing, exactly what this moment meant to the people in front of him. He didn't rush to stand up. He didn't move away. He let it happen. He let them feel it. And in doing so, he created something far more powerful than any performance. Connection. Pure, unfiltered connection. Eventually, the music began to rise again in the background, a soft cue that the show would continue. But even as the next segment prepared to begin, the energy didn't reset. It couldn't. Because once a moment like this happens, it doesn't disappear. It stays. In the air. In the memory. In the hearts of everyone who witnessed it. Jungkook stood up slowly, giving one last look toward the front row. And that glance, brief, almost casual, sent one final wave of emotion crashing through the crowd. Then he turned, walked back toward the center of the stage. And just like that, the moment ended. But its impact didn't. Because outside the stadium, as fans poured into the streets, voices still shaking, emotions still raw, one thing became clear. No one was talking about the biggest stage effects. No one was talking about the loudest songs. They were talking about that moment. That simple, quiet, unbelievable moment when Jungkook sat down and turned an entire stadium into something personal. Clips began to spread online almost instantly. Different angles, different reactions, different perspectives. But every video showed the same thing. Shock, emotion, disbelief. Comments flooded in from around the world. Why does this feel so intense? I would have cried instantly. He was so close. I can't handle this. This is why he's different. But no matter how many times people replayed the videos, something was missing. Because you can't fully capture a feeling like that. You can't compress it into pixels. You can't translate it through a screen. You had to be there. You had to feel it. And for those who did, for those who stood in that stadium and experienced that moment in real time, one truth remained undeniable. This wasn't just a concert memory. It was something bigger. Something that blurred the line between artist and fan. Something that turned distance into connection. Something that made thousands of people feel seen, even for just a few seconds. And maybe that's the real reason it went viral. Not because it was loud, not because it was extreme, but because it was real. Because in a world of massive productions and perfect performances, sometimes the most powerful moment is the simplest one. A seat at the edge of stage. A quiet smile. A glance that lingers just long enough. And a crowd that will never forget it. Because now, the question isn't just what happened that night. It's something deeper. Something that fans everywhere are still asking, still debating, still trying to understand. If a single moment like that can shake an entire stadium, what happens the next time Jungkook gets even closer? Face screaming in fear fire. Jungkook just created one of the most emotional and viral moments during the BTS concert at Raymond James Stadium. Face screaming in fear, Purple Heart. In a shocking and unexpected move, Jungkook sat right at the edge of the stage, incredibly close to fans. The reaction? Pure chaos. Army screamed, cried, and couldn't believe how close he was. This simple moment turned into one of the most unforgettable highlights of the night, proving once again why Jungkook has such a powerful connection with fans worldwide. Was this the most emotional Jungkook moment ever? Or just the beginning of something bigger? Backhand index pointing right, watch till the end for the full reaction. Backhand index pointing right, like, comment, and subscribe for more BTS updates.